All right. Good morning to everybody. Friday. Market just opened. All right. So, can you guess what kind of day we're going to have today? Yeah, another green one. Yeah, believe it or not, it's going to be green. All right. So, let's take a look and see what's going on here. We'll just quickly go through everything, see if there's any nice setup. And here's the RSP equal weighted S&P. Okay, it's breaking out, so that's good for the bulls. Uh, Dividend weighted is lagging. The VIX pausing. New York Stock Exchange is gapping up higher. Dow Jones is pushing a little bit higher. And this is the one that we've been waiting for to break out. And that's right there. Okay. So you have this cup and handle thing going right there. Okay. So this should plow higher. S&P 500, little baby double top, but it's just the morning kind of jitter things uh, going on right now. Okay. Now, the only negative thing I would say about this is the structure below a structure kind of deal right here. All right. Just kind of keep that in mind. NASDAQ, same thing. Little NASDAQ, little structure below a structure. Right. So be aware of that. Um, Small caps looking really good. Transportation and a bear flag. Okay, so we need this one to really start to push up today. All right. Otherwise, it will be a double top. IPOs gapped up. Uh, the FANGs. Eh, eh, yeah. The bullish thing about, I guess, the FANGs is that they're coiling up. There's going to be a decision made one way or another. Okay, so it's either going to be up or down. Don't know. It's building that pressure, but eventually it's going to make a decision. Europe gapped up as well. UK coiling up. Germany is pushing higher, pulling back a little bit. Denmark is gapping up. World Stock Market Index continues to push even higher and higher. Same thing with the VT, World Stock Market Index. Jets still have not pushed through. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. This is the only one right now that's red. The little indicator that I made is just going sideways towards the bottom. Um, Also slightly red. China pushing higher. We're still waiting for this one to go. All right, we're still waiting for this one to go. But this is the fangs of China. They're still grinding to the upside, which is it's not bad, but we want to see that thrusty move go. Nifty 50 continues higher. Japan still has not made a decision, but remember, their currency is appreciating at the same time. Uh, so that's going to suppress their stock prices. Taiwan continues to correct. Kospi is going sideways. Saudi Arabia is getting ready to plow higher, and I should mark this. All right, we expect this one to go. Australia, a little bit of a pullback. It's a little bit of a psych kind of play, right? It broke out. Should have continued higher. Instead, it came back for one more attempt to test the bottom of the trend line. Let's see if that holds. Brazil, consolidating again, little structure below a structure right here. Emerging markets are broken out. That's doing okay. BRICS are finally breaking out. So this one should start to go today, hopefully. And this is Brazil, Russia, India, China. All right, so expect that one to go uh, today or next week. Real estate still hasn't made the move. XLF barely kind of breaking out. Pure bank and ETF, we're waiting for this one to push higher. Oil, incredibly bullish. Look at that. He wants to go to 50 as soon as he can. All right, that's cool. Gold, doing okay. Silver, doing nicely. Commodities are really pushing higher. Uh, Commodities overall, this is pushing really nicely. Precious metals broke out, but they haven't followed through yet. Okay, so let's see if this one is going to go. See, there's a lot of them, huh? There's a lot of these trades that are ready to go, but they're not following through so far. Okay, they will, but they have a little bit more time before they run, hopefully. Base metals, double topping a little bit. Steel pushing higher. Palladium still hasn't made a decision. Copper is pushing higher. Agriculture pushing higher. Sugarcane sideways. Corn pushing. Okay, so we want this one to go as well. Let's see. Wheat, see, still trying. Soybeans kicking ass. Really nice gap up. Forget about Natgas. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit after the breakout. Uh, that's okay. No big deal. Litecoin, a little pullback, but it did make a new high. Ethereum, break test go maybe. Uh, Breaks test and then goes. We'll see. Ripple, still kind of a funky kind of left flag here. And we should really kind of, sorry about my messages. We should document that. Okay. So perhaps it needs some more time to consolidate in here. Okay. And then go for Ripple. Dollar, little bit of a pop today. That's not good for stocks, right? But it's been going straight down, so not good for the dollar. All right, U.S. dollar, Japan, trying to bottom. Euro USD, nice move up. Great Britain pound USD coming a little bit back. It's not very conclusive as to what he wants to do. Skip that one. US dollars failing against the Turkish lira and breaking down. How embarrassing. Anyway, keep an eye on this one. This one probably is going to, it's probably going to drop. It's got that H pattern thing going where it drops, it pops, kind of rolls over and then starts to fall. Right? We'll see. US dollar ruble, nothing. USD CAD, look for this one to break higher. See, it's starting to look a little bullish, right? For the dollar. The flag is pointing one way. The next move is going to be up. So be ready for that. It doesn't mean that the fall of the dollar is over. It just means it's going to correct from that structure there. Australian dollar, USD pushing higher. New Zealand pushing higher. Um, so let's see how that goes. USD Mexican peso continues to push higher. And US dollar won. Look for this one to break up as well. Uh, the Euro index is doing nicely. It's holding up after the breakout. Taking a look at the cruise liners. They're just kind of doing nothing. Okay, that's Norwegian, Carnival, Fangs, Apple is pulling back a little bit back into structure. Amazon is holding. Microsoft holding. Facebook is building pressure at the bottom of the structure. Okay, it hasn't pushed higher, so be careful with that. Netflix at the top of the channel, finding resistance. Google is falling below this channel here. Nvidia doesn't want to make a decision. Tesla, new highs. Yeah, baby. Again, we expect this one to go as high as 800. I know. PayPal doing really good. Skip that one. All right, airlines. Delta still waiting to push through. American Airlines. Southwest going sideways. Alaska, small little breakout but doing nothing. JetBlue continues to coil up. Spirit the same. Allegiant started to break out, filling the gap. Let's see what it does. Hawaiian, nothing. SkyWest, nothing. Ryanair, nothing. And EasyJet is pulling back. Copa continues to pull back. China Eastern, try to drop here. Not doing a good job. Turkish finding resistance. Okay, so let's see what I think I skipped some stuff here. Where's the 10-year? Alright, the 10-year coiling up, structure above the structure. And looks like it wants to push higher. Okay. So look for this one to push higher. Alright, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Minute chart, a little bit of a pullback. See here, it's starting to break the structure below the structure. The internals do not look all that strong, to be honest with you, right? We saw so many setups where it needs to push higher. It needs to push higher, and it's not doing it. We've seen some coiling up. We've seen the fangs not look internally so good. We'll see. We'll see if this is going to go. It's 9:44, so it has some time. Just give me 1 second, please. Be right back. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so there's a structure below structure starting to fall down. Um, we'll see. We'll see what this does. if we want to look at the point of control where it could possibly go, let's start from the bottom here first. Okay, so that's about 12.5. Okay, so all the way down here, 12.5 is the point of control. We have another point of control right at 12.730, and then you get the void right in here, right? And then you have another baby point of control, right? And that's down at 12.630. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, again, I'm going to emphasize that you need to hold above the previous high, okay? Because you're in uncharted territory at this point. You want these guys to hold. You want this to be defended, okay? And if price comes down, you want it to go back up. So let's sorry, let's see what it does. Let's look at small caps. Small caps, a little double topping with a lower low right in here. There we go. Wedgy looking thing, right? You got so many wedges in this thing. It's not even funny. It's just wedges all over the place. It keeps pushing higher. Obviously, it's in a particle market. And a particle market basically means it just goes one way. If you look at it from a daily, right? From a daily, it's one wedge, another wedge, and then another wedge. So this whole entire move in here has been particle, just one way shot, right? No correction. No correction. S&P doing the same thing, right? We identified this structure below structure early on. I said be cautious. Now, if this fails here, remember that if you don't touch the top of the trend line, that's a sign of weakness, right? Sign of weakness. So that's not good for the bulls. All right. Let's look at the point of control from a couple days ago. We'll use that one. We use the bottom here to the top. Point of control is 12.729, which coincides with the previous low right in here. So 12.729. Now remember, we're still needing this stimulus package to come through, right? And they keep talking about it, and it's not happening. And sometimes they're going to need a little bit of a help from the market selling off. All right, just give me one moment. So early on, what we're looking at is for the dollar to correct a little bit. Um, the stock market is trying to make new highs, not doing a good job of it, pulling back a little bit, pulling back a little bit. Give me one more second. All right. Yeah, there it goes. All right. So we said that's the point of control right down here, right? There it is. Right there is a point of control. So if you look at the overall market, um, from the way I have it set up, of course, it's looking very uh, iffy right now because everything is turning red suddenly. So that's not good. Now the only thing I would say about these kind of sharp moves to the downside, they're designed to provoke emotion, right? So the other thing I would point out is the way that it looks. I mean, this thing right here, right? Look at it. It's just very jaggy, very. You can't even you can't even chart that. It looks really kind of funky. If we take the last 24 hours, point of control is exactly the same place. Okay. So naturally, it's bouncing a little bit. All right, so Nasdaq is flat right now. S&P is down 0.25. Small caps are just doing much of nothing. Transportation uh, down 0.33. The fangs are down the most at 0.43. So they're not doing what they're supposed to do, right? Market leaders are not doing it. Interesting. I think they're nudging the politicians of get it done because a 0.25% pullback in the markets will scare the shit out of politicians. God help us. God help us. All right. So look how quickly everything turned red from all green, right? They went from flat. It was all green when we started. Then they went flat to red. The fuckery of the market opening up. Yeah, let's talk about this for a second. Everybody's talking about this tips versus treasuries. Oh, look, it's rising. It's 1.9 and blah blah. It's pricing in inflation in the future. It's not pricing in inflation. It's pricing in a dollar devaluation. It's not the same thing. Inflation has many meanings. It doesn't have to be CPI, which is core inflation, headline inflation, the kind that, is reported. It's not that kind of inflation. It's the kind of inflation where the dollar is devaluing. Okay, so if you're sitting there thinking like, oh my God, inflation is going to come, no, that's not what it's doing. All right, let's see what Google's and Facebook and everybody's doing. Pulling back. Transportations, they're holding up. All right, this is a minute chart, so it's very, very fine, very close in. So let's see how far we've fallen so far. From the high, about 0.5%. Now remember a few weeks ago, right? We kept hitting those 2% targets daily. That was kind of funky, right? Remember, 2% is the normal uh, extreme for a day. And we were hitting those things daily, either up or down, didn't matter. And now suddenly, 0.5%, it's like, ooh, it's a 0.5% down. As volatility falls, so do these moves. So 0.5% for today is quite a lot. It's a normal day. Anything between 0.5% and 1% is considered to be fairly a lot. Okay? Just keep these things in mind. All right, so you see this fake little breakout here, right there. Try to go, didn't go. So now that's a range expansion. Okay, you got to expand the range. The further it goes down and doesn't break, the more you have to expand the range. Okay, and remember, 0.5 to 1% is a lot because volatility is down. Keep that in mind. All right. VIX popped up again. So that's kind of interesting, right? Because we said yesterday in the video, I don't know if you saw it, in the live video, that this is still kind of rolling to the upside. So keep that in mind. All right. It's up right now about 6%, 23.3. Equal weighted S&P starting to fall back down. Dividend weighted ETF is pulling back and it's falling out of structure now. So that's not good. New York Stock Exchange, okay, it's doing fine. Just exploring the range. Perhaps even fill the gap. The Dow was pushing nicely towards the top and now it's starting to fall back again. Back out of structure for the fourth time. 1, 2, 3. Now this is the fourth time. Eventually that's going to give. If you keep testing that, that's going to give. So keep an eye on that. S&P broken down as well. Structure below structure. Didn't touch the top. We should actually mark this now. Okay, we should test that. Not test that. Mark that. Still trying to wake up. Nasdaq pushing in below the point of control. All right, now officially down 0.28, but from the high this morning, it's down even more, 0.68. Volatility is increasing, okay. All the way up to 1% is kind of normal. So, all right, so small caps, they broke here, right, popped up nicely, trying to hold above this area. If this goes too, well, you're going to probably have a much bigger pullback. All right, much bigger pullback. If you get a much bigger pullback, then that means the rest of the indices are going to start going south as well. And it's going to be a whole day thing. IPOs kind of ticked higher, starting to pull back. The FANGs now are down 0.8. Much deeper pullback. They now have a lower low and a higher low, or a lower high. I always get that confused. UK sideways, Germany doing okay, and Denmark is really kicking ass. World stock market index also pulling back, down 0.33. Jets are down 0.75. China is doing fine. All right, very big pullback for what it was doing. Right, this is breaking a lot of structures, a lot of momentum. So it's got to hold that 12,677, that previous high. Now, if you day trade, and I don't recommend it, but if you day trade, there's something that's called the 1030 reversal, where it sells off, and then at 1030 everything starts to flip. So just kind of be aware of that. We're still 25 minutes away. It doesn't have to happen exactly at 1030, but just be aware of that. When you see sharp moves like this, they don't don't necessarily hold. Okay, this is to provoke emotion. Now, granted, it's breaking structures, yes, but uh, it might start doing something like this. Okay, which is not necessarily bearish. It's still bullish because you're going to start to build that pressure right up here. Okay, and then you can take it to the upside as it breaks out. It's a high base. Okay, so don't get overly bearish just because it did a emotional move. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay. All right. So like magic, it comes down to that previous. Uh, where is it? Comes down to that previous lows down here and starts to retrace. Right. That's what I mean. Don't get overly bearish here. Breaks the point of control, goes outside of the value area, and then pops. Magic. All right, there it goes. There's a trend line. About to go. All right. So some news just came out that the Pentagon chief halts Biden's transition briefings. Fucking idiots, these people. Um, why in the world would they do something like that? You know, the U.S., I'm telling you, it's in a very vulnerable situation. When you have a transitioning president from one to the other, you have an administration that's not in place, it's going to start to roll over. You know, our enemies see these things. We're in a fucking disarray, and this is when bad things happen, right? Not very smart. Not very smart. But you know, what's been smart about Trump? Nothing, right? That's why 300,000 plus people are fucking dead. Not listening to science, not comprehending reality. Strange. Strange behavior. This guy's gonna try to. Trump is gonna try to run a coup in the U.S., man. Fucking idiot. Unbelievable. All right, continuing to push higher. All right, snapping back. Um, led by Nasdaq. Actually, led by the small caps is now up 0.54. There it is now. It broke above the previous high. 1016. Um, Nasdaq is at the point of control. Now remember, for the last 10 years plus, all they've been teaching people is buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. So small caps are up 0.47 while the fangs are lagging at 0.77. Who's going to win? coming into that 1030 reversal, and sure enough, it's underway, right? Taking a look at the VIX, it's now pausing at that 23 area. S&P didn't bounce that much. Mm, Maybe it's lagging a little bit. Transportation, nothing. Forget about IPO. Dow Jones didn't pop much either. Neither did New York Stock Exchange. So the only one that's popping is the Nasdaq. Oops. All right, so there's a nice little tight kind of formation going on right there. Let's see if that breaks and kind of mimics the rest of the market. That's just trying to bottom more than anything else, right? See how this is just trying to bottom here. That's the S&P. Dow Jones, kind of the same thing, right? Just trying to bottom in here. And when they're trying to bottom, you know, the bias is to the downside. So long as the price action, the compass, is pointing down, this is considered to be a 2, right? And then this continues on down. So 1022. Nasdaq trying to break down now. Small caps are holding. So whatever is going on is being led by the small caps. The fangs are not doing a whole hell of a lot, right? Europe is not doing anything. What's oil doing? Oil is doing good. Okay, well, we got to look at the dollar. Dollar is trying to balance itself here. Financials are starting to pull back. Hmm. New York Stock Exchange is trying to close the gap, I guess. So now it's lower than it was yesterday, open, or I'm sorry, it's lower than yesterday's low. Yeah, see that was a tight, tight, tight here, right? Tight, 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 tight. Boom. And we're coming up on 10:30. All right, so we started out all nice and green, right, across the board, worldwide. All right, you look at the sectors, they were all green, everything. And now everything is starting to kind of roll over, right? We don't care much about Africa or Peru. So, all right, let's do the point of control for the last 24 hours. Pretty much the same, right? No difference. All right, so just to kind of recap, right? So we had a tight, 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 tight move down. Then we went tight, tight, tight correction. That corrected. Now it's bouncing. So what we're probably going to see is, first of all, you have a higher low. That's number one. So you don't want to really take this one out. It can come back down here and then continue up. Okay, that's number one. Two, you wanted to see it to cross the previous high. And then that would be a 1, 2, 3 up. All right. And then it'll stabilize into lunch and then go from there. Um, Alternatively, if this previous low does not hold, okay, if you don't have that higher low and this doesn't hold, then what we're looking at is a 1, 2, 3 down for the rest of the day. It's now 10:30, so not much of a reversal so far. So we'll keep an eye on it. Always take a look at the rest of the market, and the rest of the market now is pushing lower. Uh, so that's not a good thing, right? You see now how it's a 1, 2, 3 for the Dow. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Um, S&P 1, 2, 3 down. Nasdaq still trying to hold on. Still trying to hold on. Small caps are holding on, but they're starting to break the structure here. All right, there you go. Okay, so that's breaking. So everything is breaking down now. Even though the small caps are up 0.5%, everything is starting to break down. Now you get a pop in the VIX. New York Stock Exchange is breaking 1, 2, 3 down. Oops. 1, 2, 3 down. You had the consolidation of a flat, right? And that's breaking down now. So, yeah. Dow Jones completing 1, 2, 3. So you needed to hold this. So we're holding that area for the higher low. as long as it can withstand the wave 3 down from the other markets, this should and can push one more up, since this is the strongest one. Taking a look at the fangs. Where is it? There it goes. Nothing there. Germany, nothing there. All right. So now it's trying to break out. Right. So it held that previous low that we talked about. This is trying to break out. So this was indeed important. All right. The S&P 500 is now starting to fall. It's trying to create like a falling flag type of move here. Let me fix this. Uh, all right, you get the point. Okay, so this is looking like it wants to uh, push higher because you had the drop, you get the pop, you get the wave 3 down, and the wave 3 doesn't have to be very long. Okay, it popped back up. So now you got the 1, 2, 3, and this is probably going to start to correct to the upside. We are at 1030 right now. Looking at the Dow Jones, you got the wave 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So now this one should start to correct. The key area for the Dow Jones is going to be somewhere here. All right. New York Stock Exchange also completed the wave 3, broke the previous lows. Let's see how that's going to perform. The Nasdaq is starting to weaken. If anything, we can now say, look, there's a bear flag. This is probably going to start to contract. And there goes Nasdaq to the upside, breaking out. All right, so Jets is starting to stabilize right in here on an hourly. Oil new high on an hourly. Okay, so that's breaking out incredibly bullish. So that's looking good. Gold stable, silver stable, commodities really kicking ass. The dollar pushing up a little bit. All right, so that wasn't very successful, right? What was it trying to do? It was trying to break out to the upside. How good of a job did it do? Not very. Okay, so it's still, above the previous low. So that's good. Just, might need to consolidate a bit more in here before pushing higher. S&P 500 is still in this falling wedgie looking thing. Dow Jones still has not gotten above this trend line. Small caps is still consolidating sideways here. So we're not getting that follow through. That 1030 reversal is not following through so far. Mexico just went green. It just needs a little bit more time. That's all. Sometimes when you're doing day trades, it's you tend to become a little bit too myopic. Myopic. So just be aware of that. All right. You don't want this to start to fall apart, and it is. What if it's doing this, right? All right. Deeper pullback in the market leader today. It's below the previous high. It's correcting. Transportation's rolling over. IPO continues to push higher. The fangs towards the low of the day. Definitely below the previous low. Germany's pulling back. Now the thing with Germany is, you break the low, you're going to break the top. Okay? So if there's no follow through, it's not going to be surprising to anybody. The other thing to consider is that it did test that previous high. So there's some resistance there as well. Uh, Dow Jones trying to push higher. Not yet. S&P trying to break out of that little flag we were talking about, right? Remember, when this is doing one of these jobs, the next move is up. Why? Because the structure is pointing down, right? So how does the market fool everybody? Well, it does the opposite. It's going to deke one way, then another, right? Just like when you're playing basketball, football, whatever. It's going up and down in waves, and then it creates a structure, and then that structure takes off in the opposite direction. Then that corrects, and then you go from there. And that's why you got to ask yourself the two main questions, right? What is it trying to do? Well, it's trying to go lower. How good of a job is it doing it? Well, not very. Not very. Right. Dow Jones trying to push higher. It's not doing it yet. NASDAQ going to the top of the channel. All right. So now we can, it's a fucked up looking thing, but now we can say, look, this is a bull flag coiling up for the next move higher. So that will be a 1, 2, 3 up from this structure here. So in this case, the way you would want to play this was if it came down here, especially if it didn't touch the previous low, that would be really good. Okay, and it started to you know uh, hook back up. Okay, you want to take it for that one more up. Again, I'm going to remind everybody that the VIX, when the VIX is so low, relatively speaking, when I say low, I mean low relative to this fuckery stuff here, right? When the VIX is so low, um, the moves for the day, the daily moves are not that pronounced. You're not going to get those 2.5% moves. So that should kind of clue you in, right? How far it can go down. So far today, we went as low as uh, zero point 0.8. So anything towards down here in the bottom, eh, it's a normal volatile day. It's not a big deal. Now, when you look at it from the other standpoint of where it closed yesterday, where it opened up today, it's a little bit different story. It's showing down 0.1716. Yeah, but where was it before? You know what I mean? Where was it before? Where was the high? Where did it open up? How high did it go when it did open up? That's the stuff that we care. All right, there it is, pushing towards the top, trying to break out. So two places you want to try. One here or the breakout. One second. All right, sorry about that. All right. So the most bullish of them all right now is the Nasdaq. The S&P did break out, but it broke out through time rather than price. Okay, rather than price. Dow Jones came up, tested, pulling back again. Dow Jones is down the most. Let's see what the dollar is doing. Dollar's pushing up. See, remember this relationship with the dollar, right? As the dollar falls, the stock market rises. So if the dollar is starting to push higher, that's gonna give you some resistance into the price movement of stocks. And that's why I was showing you before Japan, right? Where Japan has lost, um, has not lost. Japan has been appreciating against the dollar, behaving strong. Here it is. Okay. So then you look at the Japanese index and it's not pushing through. And let me show you what that is. If I can find it, there it is. Okay. So it's not pushing through. Why? Because the currency is appreciating. Remember, when a currency is appreciating or depreciating, anything in that economy, stocks, bonds, real estate, everything in that economy is going to be affected. It's going to affect the value. It's the foundation of everything. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Little pop in small caps. Nasdaq is pulling back, right? S&P is not following through after the breakout. Makes sense. Dow Jones is not breaking through. Makes sense. So we wait. The FANGs are not doing anything. In fact, the FANGs are down now 0.86 for the day. Right? It's getting worse. It's not getting better. So if the FANGs are not going, Nasdaq is going to struggle. It's kind of like flying an airplane. If you think of it that way, that you got your airspeed indicator, you got your attitude indicator, your altimeter, vertical speed indicator, your heading indicator, right? So you keep looking at all the instruments, and you you determine what the airplane is doing, right? Then you got your VORs to find out where you are. It's kind of the same thing. When you're looking at the message of the market, let the market tell you what's going on. Um, it becomes a lot easier. Becomes a lot easier, believe me, because you don't have to guess. You don't have any stress. Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Then stay with it. Is it not doing what it's supposed to do? No. Okay. Stop. It's not much more difficult than that. I don't want to make it seem like it's a piece of cake. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just grab the ball and put it in the basket. Yeah. No, it's not that easy. It's not simple. But it becomes easier, is what I'm saying. Because if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do and you're objective and you let the data tell you what's going on, right, you're just kind of automatic about it, right? We're waiting for this bear flag, a bull flag, sorry. We're waiting for this to break out. Well, it's not breaking out. Okay. So why am I going to take a trade? I'm not. What if it comes down here? What if price comes down here? It depends on what kind of risk tolerance you have. You're saying, okay, you know what? I'll take this one to the upside. It only comes to here and then starts to fail again. All right, well, it didn't break out. I'm out, right? That's what I mean. Make it mechanical. What if you don't have the risk tolerance to buy down here, right? Okay, no problem. Wait for it to come up here. Breaks out. Try it. Buy it. All right? Very simple. If it goes, great. If it comes back into structure, get out. Again, I don't want to make it seem like it's too simple. I'm just saying it's easier when you let the information tell you what's going on. Look at the S&P, what it's doing, right? It's an expansion now. This is an expansion. It's still bullish. This is not bearish. This is still bullish. Doesn't mean it has to go up. It just means that, hey, look, you know, 1, 2, 3, coils up, and then boom. What about Dow Jones? Dow Jones was supposed to break out from this structure here. Didn't do it. No correction. All right, fuck it. There's nothing to trade. You wait. You wait. All right. Let's expand the volume by price. See, it's so happy. It's at the point of control. It's so happy, right? It's right here. It's like, I'm happy. I'm at the point where everybody agrees and is fighting back and forth as to what fair price is. And for today, fair price is exactly where it is at 12,730. Right? And that's based on 24-hour look back. Okay, you just hit the daily bar here, right? So for the last 24 hours, this is where you want to be. That's what you're measuring. Now, most of the times you can tell where point of control is. Okay, but when it starts doing this kind of funky shit all over the place, it's not as easy. And that's why we use this tool. All right, see how it's coiling up now? Right in here. It's coiling up. It's going to make a decision at some point which way it wants to go. S&P continues to drift away. Dow Jones is trying to break this trend line, so it's coming back up again. New York Stock Exchange has a much deeper pullback. It's about to close the gap. Very close to closing the gap. The VIX is pulling back. Right? Now the argument for the VIX is, well, you have this formation here. It's a wedge. So which way is the compass? Well, the compass is here, straight up. And now it's creating a wedge. So if the compass is an indication that it's going to have one more up, well, what's that mean for the stock market? That it's going to go down. What if it starts to fall apart here? If it starts falling apart, that's very bullish. Okay, look at your heading indicator, your VSI, your Attitude indicator, your altimeter. Who is the market leader for today? Well, it's the small caps. Okay, what are they doing? Well, they're kind of doing this hut-looking formation, a hut roof or a home. Okay, that's usually bearish. When it can't get through, that's usually bearish. All right, transportation should not violate this. See, this is bearish looking. Count it. First counter trend move from the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Which way is it pointing? Up. Which way is it likely going to go? Down. So that's another bearish structure there. All right, there goes the S&P. It's breaking out. Right, that's what we've been expecting, but we need to see follow through because it kind of dicked us last couple times. So wait for this to go. How about Dow Jones? Up, there it is. There's the Dow Jones. There's the Dow Jones. There goes the Nasdaq. Okay, so just for shits and grins, let's mark that. All right, so the next area that has to get through, you need to see the follow through. The next area is around 12,745. Remember, it's at the point of control, right? It's at the point of control. So it's happy. This point of control is like a magnet. So it's not easy for it to take off. Think of a rocket, right? When it's taken off, right? That initial thrust, that I love my sound effects, right? Where it's just moving like very little centimeters, inches, and then it starts to take off. That's what it's doing right now. If it doesn't take off, then it crashes back down to Earth. It's game over, right? Hey, Alessandro, how are you, my friend? Good morning. Yeah, it's up 3%, down 3%, but there's a 3-to-1 ratio. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that it's not more, it's not down zero point 0.9, right? All right, so the 10:30 reversal is over. It's 11 o'clock now. NASDAQ is down 0.11. Small caps are increasing now at zero point 0.6. See it? Everything broke those trend lines simultaneously. Read the message of the market, right? Dow Jones broke, S&P broke, small caps broke. Look at that. And small caps are the market leader. And of course, NASDAQ broke as well. What about the VIX? Ah, Habibi. You see? It's like magic. It's like magic. The dividend weighted S&P is testing the previous low. This is the resistance area. This is what it needed to get above and it pulled back instead. So now we can say, look, this thing is correcting through time. Okay, it's correcting through time. It's trying to push through, trying to push through. It's not doing a very good job so far, right? That's why I'm saying it's that rocket ship trying to leave the launch pad. It's not, it's like, you gotta go, you gotta go. Is our rocket gonna crash or what? And again, that's the difficulty when you're at the point of control. Everybody's happy. Everybody, it's the price of fair value. Everybody agrees that's where it should be. It's difficult. Broke the previous high very easily. You know what we didn't do? Do the point of control here. Let's do it now. It doesn't have it here. Fuck. I always forget this. That's why I didn't put it on. Let's put the IWM. All right. Hit 1 day. Way above the point of control. Way above. Okay. All right. So this is what it has to hold now. All right. You have your higher low. One here. One here. Maybe we can call this one too. All right. It's breaking out, building that high base here. That pressure. Now you need it to go. Now you need it to go. If it doesn't go, well, this now becomes your stop out point. You can come down and bounce, but if it starts to fall apart here, you're back into structure. You want to stop. This would be our stop out, right? So I'm just adjusting the stop out to whatever the trend line is and slightly below. right, VIX continues to fall away. New York Stock Exchange a little bit higher. Dow Jones has broken, done nothing. S&P has broken, still nothing. Nasdaq, we're still waiting for it to push higher. Um, Small caps now are up 0.64. Okay, they're struggling with the previous high, which is normal. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Uh, IPO is doing okay. The fangs, see, the fangs are not really popping, so that's problematic. That's problematic. All right. So the longer this takes to push higher, the more nervous you should be getting, right? Because it's like, okay, you should be pushing higher because you broke this structure here. Okay, you broke it. Now you're consolidating above here. That's fine, but I need this to go. It's got to go. Not doing it so far. I've adjusted the trend line to give it all the benefit of the doubt. Okay. The other bad thing is when you're getting into this later hours, like after 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12, the thing dies down and it doesn't do anything. And then you come back around 1:30, you start to reanalyze everything. By 2 o'clock, you should see some movement, 2:30 even more, and then into the close. And especially, as of late, the last 2 minutes is where all the action happens, which is kind of mind-boggling. Let's adjust the stop out point. See how it came back into structure now? That's not a good thing, right? Not a good thing. Give it a little bit more room. All right. So it's not doing it. It's not doing it. Remember, just because it crosses the trend line is not a whole big deal, but uh, especially when it comes down in three large bars, right? One, two, three, and this is a minute, so. But it's not looking good. Yeah, it's happy at that point of control. See it? Magnet. Magnet. All right, let's go through the still below the previous low here. New York Stock Exchange is pulling back. Dow Jones pulling back. Still above the trend line. S&P 500 still above. All right, we could be doing this right now. It's still bullish. Okay, still bullish because the structure is pointing down. So now the next trade you want to take is this one if it breaks out, right? Breaks out, you want to take it. The only thing the Nasdaq has going for it right now is just that it pops here, pops here, pops here, pops here, pops here, right? And then it just seems to bounce back up to the point of control. It's trying to hold this trend line, but not doing a very good job. Transportation is holding the fangs. Fangs not doing a good job bouncing. So everything is really dependent on the small caps, what they do. Yeah, trade is bust. It's that simple. Done. Nothing there. So now, what does this look like, right? This whole thing looks bearish now. Building that pressure, it's coming down. Maybe it'll come back up, right? But now you're going to start looking for downside. Because none of this stuff is holding. None of it broke through. Nothing followed through. All right. So now you have to kind of redraw everything. Here's the previous low. This is now the structure. Breaks the previous structure. And wave 3 down. So 1, compass. 2, 3. Oops. All right. So where are we now? All right. So what it's trying to do now is test this area. Okay. And it's also testing at the same time the previous high. So it wants to come down and test it. Now the bigger problem is that the bigger structure has now broken definitively. You drop structure below a structure, now you're falling. Okay, so you're either going to get another bounce up here, okay, and then it'll start to correct through time, building pressure for the next move up, or it's going to come back into structure, start creating some kind of base in here for lower, right? So let's say that you had no trade on whatsoever right now, and you're looking at this, and you're like, I kind of missed that bull move up. What you want to do in this case, and you feel that the market is bullish, is that you're going to get some kind of bounce. So on the bounce, okay, if you're bullish on the bounce, you want to take it for one more up. And that's why for the last few days I've been saying it's gotta stay above the previous high. It has to stay above the previous high. It has to do it. Okay, it's gotta do it. Otherwise, we'll go much lower. All right. So now let's measure top to bottom. 1%. Normal. Normal move. Let's go through the other ones. All right, 1, 2, 3 down. So this is incredibly bearish now. Okay, this should not have happened. There's a compass. 1, 2, 3 up. This is supposed to resolve to the upside. Didn't do it. So it followed through. Wave 3. This is now a 2. This is a 1. Okay, that's not a very good sign for the markets. Dow Jones. Right, this one is a little clearer. 1, 2, 3 down. Okay, so here's a compass. 1, 2, 3 down. Breaking the previous low. Look for a correction. New York Stock Exchange now filled the gap definitively, no questions about it. Testing that previous bull flag, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's quite normal actually. It's 1, 2, 3, right? So it's a break, test, go. Right now, if it comes back into structure here, different story. Get the fuck out, right? If you were long New York Stock Exchange, it's a different story. VIX, look at that, boom. This is why I don't like wedges, and I've said that before. I was going to say it again this time, but I'm like, you know, there it is. Testing the previous high. Now remember, the higher the VIX goes, the more volatility, the more that you can expect that 1%, which is an average normal, is no longer an average normal. It's going to expand for the day. Transportation, okay, coming closer and closer to breaking this structure. IPO going sideways. The fangs, even deeper pullback. Again, this was the bull flag. Broke the bottom, broke the top. It's coming back to this key area. It's got to hold right in here. It has to hold for one more up. Otherwise, it's game over. But it is a wedge, so. Europe, Still has not closed the gap. UK sideways. Germany is okay. Denmark doesn't give a fuck. The Danish are crazy people. World Stock Market Index has closed the gap now. All right, fair enough. There's that hook. There's the hook right there. There it is. See it? Starting to hook. Wait for it to come back into structure and then you can take it up. All right. So now for the bulls, what we have to do is break this. You know, the thing with that Biden thing with Trump or the Pentagon withdrawing from the next president-elect, the intelligence briefings, you know, that's really significant if you think about it. One, because, you know, Trump is trying to overthrow the government. Two, we're very vulnerable to some kind of attack. And, you know, that's problematic. You can't be fucking around like that. You got division already amongst Americans. So you start doing stupid, crazy shit like that, I don't think the market's going to like that very much. But they're probably like, you know, it's a stupid crybaby just behaving wrong. He'll get over it. He'll leave. Yeah, well, don't be too sure. It's the stupid people that scare me. All right, there's the hook. There it is. Going back up again. All right. All right. So there's the hook we talked about right before it even came. Here it is. It's back into, I don't want to say structure, but it's up above the previous low. Okay. And it's probably going to make its way back towards the point of control. We explored the entire range here. right? This whole thing here, the bell curve. We explored it all now, the whole thing. So going back up. Very noisy, definitely. Now, if we look at it from this perspective, okay, it came down and tested the previous high. You don't want it to come back in. Now, if you go back in time and you measure these, it's about one and a half or so. Yeah, we can do it. That was one and a half almost, and then from this one to this one was about 2%, and now this one to this one was about 1%. All right, so again, this is why you need that follow through. You need to follow through because if this fails, we're going right back down. Definitely going back down. Okay, and that's the problem once you get up in this area that you came here, down, came here, down, came here, down, came here, down. Now we're here again. If we start breaking back into the structure, look for another down again. All right, so now it's 11:30, going into lunchtime. People are gonna go out to lunch. This thing is just gonna move back and forth. I'll probably come on at the end of the day. We'll follow through with this quasi day trading analysis. One quick final look before I go. New York Stock Exchange is bouncing. Okay, so that's good for the bulls, right? Break test go possibly. Dow Jones is broken. This could be an expansion of the flag. We don't know yet. Let's see how it behaves. S&P 500 has really just kind of corrected. It looks fucked up, to be honest with you. It's back below the previous high. It's not looking good. More likely than not, I think for the S&P is signaling more downside. Nasdaq is still trying to hold up above the previous high. Small caps are trying to hold this structure here. It already broke down this morning, so we'll see how this behaves later. Transportation is not looking good. This is looking bearish. Okay, so that means more likely than not, what's going to happen is this is going to break and everything else will go down with it. And remember, this is a bigger time frame. It's 15 minutes. The IPO is going sideways. Google's and Fangs and all this Netflix. They're testing the previous support area here. Not showing much of a bounce. It's down 1% for the day. It's been decreasing all day long. It was 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and now it's down 1% for the day. Europe closed the gap. That's looking okay. I'm sorry, UK is not doing anything. Germany testing the previous breakout point. China still doing okay. Japan still stuck. Nifty 50 is pushing higher. Uh, the fangs of China are doing good. Korea not doing anything. Saudi broke out, pulling back. Australia has really pulled back deeply. It's got to hold this. It's got to hold that. But remember, Australia, the currency is appreciating. So Brazil pulling back. Nothing in emerging markets. BRICS are going sideways. Forget about that. Real estate is coming back into structure. Not good. Not good. Uh, Banking is starting to fail. XLF is pulling back. Oil pushing higher. I don't think this is going to hold. I don't think. Maybe it'll pop a little bit to 50, but I think it's going to have a pullback at some point. Gold is doing really nice. Silver is breaking out nice. Commodities overall really kicking ass. Right. Palladium. No, this precious metal ETF is pushing higher. Palladium, sideways, nothing. Copper is doing good. Agriculture is okay. Cane, corn. Corn is doing good. Wheat, nothing. Soybeans kicking ass. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit. Litecoin is pulling back a little bit. Ethereum testing the previous high. Ripple's pulling back. Dollar bouncing just a little bit. SDRs, special drawing rights, are doing good. Dollar is bouncing against the Japanese yen a little bit. Euro's pulling back a little bit. Pound is pulling back a little bit. They're all doing what they're supposed to. USD CAD is trying to break out. Remember I was telling you about this one? Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. This is a bullish structure. Not for a very long time, but you should get a push higher. Australian dollar is pushing higher. New Zealand is doing okay. Mexico weakening a little bit. Look for the US dollar to break out from the one. And that's about it. 10-year is doing nothing, although it is pushing towards the high end. All right. So that's it, guys. I'll talk to you later. I'll be back. Bye-bye.